Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel for the next episode in the My Team series. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by perhaps the most esteemed guest yet. Today, I'm joined by Will, the founder of Fantasy Football Hub, who's also an amazing FPL manager with 7 top 10k finishes in his illustrious career, coming in with a top score once of 82nd, which is extremely impressive. Will, a pleasure as always to have you on. How are you doing? How is your team looking?
Jack, thank you very much for that very kind introduction. I'm going to be honest, my team is in a little bit of flux at the moment, should we say? Lots of different players coming in and out. May have been slightly swayed by the preseason friendlies at the weekend, and a lot of big decisions to make. But I've got a draft that I'm pretty happy with to share with you today. So yeah, looking forward to this.
Okay, as always, we're going to be building this on Fantasy Football Hub's My Team tool. After we've built the team, that is going to give us a team rating according to the data. So then we can compare Will's team to the other guest teams that we've had on the channel and see how your team is looking. You know, we're only a few days out now, so this really is crunch time. Okay, my friend, let's get into it. Let's start with the goalkeepers.
I've gone for Pickford between sticks. Look, he's a high scoring goalkeeper last season. Everton are going to have another pre-season under their belt with Dyche drilling them. I think the Dyche sort of defensive system fits Pickford quite well, yeah, he's going to make a lot of saves. Everton opening fixtures are okay; they're not fantastic, but they're okay. I don't like the 4.5 keeper range. Typically, I would have gone for that, but and also I think 5.5 is a little bit too much to spend. That said, definitely not say on Pickford. There are a few other options which you could go for, but at the moment, you know, Pickford has been in most of my recent drafts, so opted for him between the six.
Okay, so set and forget then. I presume you wouldn't be rotating him with anyone?
No, set and forget. I've just gone for the Everton number 2, Virginia, I think it is.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe a little bit expensive for keepers, but you say you'd normally go for someone that you know you're happy with at that price. Have you ever rotated 4.5 keepers before, or gone for a 4.5 and a 4?
Yeah, I used to, but keepers is one of those positions which I don't know whether rotation works that well. Because you often get the bigger hauls often come in the harder fixtures, you know,
Yeah.
where they make crazy saves and just have like absolute blinder and get double digit return. And then that's the time that they're on your bench for. So, and even in the, you know, even when they do concede, they do tend to pick up more save points in the harder fixtures. So I'm never convinced that rotating keepers is the way to go. But yeah, you know, if you want to go that way, then go ahead. But for me, usually try and get one and stick with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Now, before we move on to the defense for Will's team, it's worth saying as well, guys, that if you want to compare your current drafts to Will's and see how your team does in terms of the team rating, predicted points, etc., you can do so for free by clicking the link in the description and going over to Fantasy Football Hub. But Will, before we get into the defense, please tell the viewers why now is the very best time of all season to sign up to Fantasy Football Hub if they want to go one step further.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. I mean, firstly, I just want to say a massive thank you to the thousands and thousands of you that are signing up at the moment. It just it blows my mind, you know, how well received the tool has been, the new features that we've implemented with the AI chatbot, the the amount of people using the My Team tool, especially, is just insane. I think we had at the weekend well, for this time pre-season, over 1 million people have input their team into our AI team rating
Wow.
feature. So you can do that for free, link in the description. But in general, yeah, just blown away. And thank you for the thousands of people that are subscribed to the platform and enjoying it. And it's, you know, it is a bit of a no-brainer deal. You've got if you don't win your mini league, we will refund your membership. And not everyone is going to win their mini league. So we did issue, you know, a lot of refunds last year. And, you know, that's part of the deal. If you don't win your mini league and you meet all the terms and conditions, we will refund your membership. So I think most people are just seeing it as a bit of a no-brainer deal at the moment. And yeah, that's why just so many people are enjoying the site and signing up and enjoy using the platform.
Yeah, pretty crazy deal. I mean, it's the sort of deal that you just do not see anywhere else. I mean, when you guys first told me about it, I was like, okay, well, that's obviously a joke. You can't be doing this. And I see the comments as well. People say, okay, right, you can't refund everyone if you don't win your mini league. No, genuinely, if you do hit the T's and C's and they're there for you, you will get refunded your money if you don't win your mini league. It's pretty crazy, but there we go. It's also worth saying it's 50% off right now, pre-season, but that deal may well go. I mean, you're the founder. Is that deal going to end come game week 1?
It will be going a little bit longer than game week 1, but yeah, I would. We're
Not
not
too long.
exactly sure when it's going to end, so I'd
Yeah.
make sure that you get in before game week 1, and obviously you want to get off to a good start as well. So, if you get it now, then you can make the most of the game week 1 madness and get off to a winning start.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of you guys were signing up yesterday after yesterday's video where me and Bakar showed you what we think is the best game week 1 team, the best team to attack the early fixtures. Yeah, it's very important this year more than ever to get off to a good start, I think. Okay, let's move on to the defense. Who have you got?
I've gone for Trent. He's
Okay.
in there for 7.0. I've just got a soft spot for him. He's got so many routes to scoring points. And I think the slot, it's difficult to tell, the slot impact on Liverpool. But my hunch is they're going to be more possession based. They're going to keep more clean sheets. And Trent to be playing very well pre-season. And he's got a price reduction from last season. So I really like him. He's actually only recently come into my drafts. I don't think he's completely nailed, but yeah, I've always had a soft spot for Trent. Just got so many routes to scoring points. So yeah, he's in there.
Yeah, he's not currently in my draft, and he's one of the players that I'm most worried about. Just thinking if I'm thinking I can maybe get away with the first few fixtures, but then 4 and 5 look brutal potentially if Liverpool do start well as a non-owner. But yeah, the fact that you've gone with him is made me even more scared, to be honest. Because if managers with phenomenal histories like you are going for him, and he's in a lot of people's teams, then it's going to be scary. Anyway, who's your next defender?
I've actually gone for the Liverpool double up. Gone for
Wow,
Konza in there. Um,
that is the first time we've seen him on this series.
is it really? Wow.
Yeah,
I just think he's the best 4.5 by quite some distance. I think that the type of football that he plays, very very technical, very possession based. He's great passer of the ball. He fits the system that Slot's going to be playing and the type of football that Slot's going to be playing. So I think he's pretty nailed. And for 4.5 in a Liverpool team, which I think will get more clean sheets than last year and have got very good opening fixtures, I think he's pretty much a no-brainer pick. Well, maybe not no-brainer. That's probably a little bit pushing it a little bit too far, but yeah, I think he's a great pick. And I'm never, I really don't mind going for the Liverpool double up. I don't mind double up in defense. I know a lot of people don't like it, but for me, you got to look at the individual picks. And I personally think that Konza is the best 4.5, and I think that Trent is the best defender. So that's why they're both in that.
I suppose we'll see who else you have in your defense in a second, and potentially a rotation with Kwanzaa if he doesn't stay nailed in the team or doesn't have as many minutes as we'd expect. But I guess the one thing with like a centre back like him is he's less likely to come off the bench than maybe a fullback. I'm not sure if who knows if that's the case or not. That's just what I kind of think, and therefore you are more likely to get that auto sub if he doesn't play. But yeah, let's move on and see how stacked your defense is for potential depth.
So the next one, Guardiol. He's been in every draft. I think he's pretty much a no-brainer. You just got to look at what he did last season. I think he's going to start for City. City, one of the best defenses. He's super attacking. Again, for me, he's a little bit of a no-brainer pick.
Yeah, sure, agree with that. Next up.
I've actually gone for Pinnock, and the reason is that
Whoa.
he rotates very well with Konza.
Okay.
Um, you know, he plays Southampton at home game week 3. Liverpool have Manchester United away in game week 3, and that's pretty much their only sort of tricky fixture early doors. So yeah, Pinnock comes in for that one. And I've got again, probably a little bit of historical bias going there, but often when Pinnock's in my team, he just gets a headed goal,
Yeah.
and he can bring in sort of double digit hauls. So quite fancy him at home for that Southampton game.
Was it last season that was it the blank or something where a lot of people went for me, or was it even Henry who I think got injured? Maybe it was a double actually. I can't remember. And Pinnock scored. Maybe I'm just imagining this. Is this correct? Pinnock scored and Henry might have got injured.
Quite possibly, yeah. To be honest, yeah, all the seasons sort of tend to blur into one at this
Yeah,
point.
that's
But
true.
yeah, he's definitely come good with a couple of double-digit hauls for me in the past. So I think Rico Henry's a good shout as well. But yeah, like Pinnock.
A lot of managers are potentially looking at Flecken in goal, but not really any mention of their defense. So yeah, I like that pick a lot. Again, first time we've seen actually a Brentford defender in this series too. So slightly different defense to the other guests that we've had on. Let's finish things off with the fifth pick.
This one, I don't think it's going to be any surprise. It's Parko. I think
Okay.
that, yeah, he's at 4.0. He's pretty nailed on in that Brighton team. He's going to be taking set pieces. I think that he should probably be at least 4.5, maybe even 5. I think that he's that good, and yeah, arguably could be starting rather than sort of just bench fodder. I think at 4.0 he's makes well, I'd be surprised if he's not in most teams come game week 1, or most engaged managers teams anyway come game week 1.
Yeah, I guess the only question is just like whether you start him or not. But at 4 million doesn't really matter. And then if he's still doing well in the team by 4 and 5, he could easily come in. And who knows what might be going on with the rest of your defense at that point. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, he's got to be in the team, doesn't he? Okay, let's move on to the midfield.
Gone for Saka. Just an FPL beast, isn't he? And you know that Arteta's going to flog him. And I don't have any Arsenal defense, so that's one area which I'm not nervous about, but I think probably a little bit of a weakness. And Saka, he's just a beast, isn't he? I can't really, he's been in every draft. I can't really see me not starting within game week 1. Um, Arsenal opening fixtures are pretty solid. They're not exceptional, but Saka's just a mainstay. He's sort of a set and forget. You're going to sort of churn out points. So yeah, again, another one which has been in most of my drafts.
His predicted points, as is the same with a few obviously elite FPL assets, are just so consistently good, even in the harder fixtures. I mean, normally like, I'll click on someone else, even Guardiola, for example. You see there are some yellows in there. When there's a tougher fixture, the score, the color of the predicted points is yellow. Could be good. Not great. Green is obviously what you want to see. And then you look at Saka's, it's just dark green, and then just light green when it's City away, Spurs away, but just so consistent. And yeah, we know what he can do. I think he's going to be in my team as well. To be fair, let's move on. Next midfielder.
Probably again one that's in quite a few teams is Eze. It's just difficult to look past him. So many different routes to scoring points. I think with my one concern with him is Marteta. Well, had some, he might be back earlier than expected, but I don't think he's going to start game week 1. And Elise, obviously, he's been off, so I don't know how. It's difficult to know the impact that will have on Eze's points.
Yeah.
Will it mean that he becomes more of a talisman and gets more goals and more assists, or will it mean that Palace are less attacking and have less of a good output? Probably a little bit of both is true. So I would expect, his numbers to sort of carry over from last season. He had a great season last time. Again, on pens, taking a lot of set pieces, decent opening fixtures. That everything's sort of pointing to him getting off to a strong start this season.
I don't know how much you care or look at effective ownership, but obviously, it's a very
I try to
popular
avoid
pick.
it if I can.
Okay. So how do you sort of interpret the or use the fact that he is obviously a popular pick among the people that are watching this video, just the engaged managers? Does that affect your thinking at all?
To be honest, I try and I've got quite strong opinions on effective ownership. I try and ignore it as best I can. I don't think I think it's a bias which creeps into people's thinking. Eze's a great pick. That's why I'm picking him. not at all thinking about the ownership. I think people can go both ways. They can sort of get trapped into picking players because they have higher effective ownership, even though they might not think they're a good pick. And that, what we're trying to do is maximize our points potential, and
Yeah.
picking players because they have high ownership rather than you think they're going to score the most points, for me, is just wrong. It's a bias. Equally, you shouldn't pick players just because they're a differential. For me, that's also a bias. You should just pick players that you think are going to score the most points, irrespective of their ownership. That's my way of playing. That's how I sort of like to do it. So yeah, I try and avoid. It's you do see teams and stuff, so I know as a sort of a highly owned pick. But yeah, he's in there because I think he's going to score a lot of points rather than sort of anything to do with ownership.
Well, so far you've picked the player coming in second and third according to Fantasy Football Hub's predicted points of all midfielders over the first 4 game weeks. So yeah, it makes sense. One person that's not in there yet is the player that's in first. Is he in this draft?
No,
No,
no, I've
Salah.
gone
Okay.
for no Salah. I've gone for his teammate though, Diego Jota.
Oh, have you? Wow,
I have,
nice.
yes.
Okay.
Honestly, slightly biased from the weekend where he got a sort of a mega haul, but I do think he's going to be first choice. And any time that Jota is first choice and he's getting minutes, he's an FPL beast. He's up there with Salah in terms of sort of the numbers and output that he produces. And coming in at 7.5 versus 12.5, is he as good a pick as Salah? Obviously not, but is he 5 million, worth a 5 million saving over Salah? I think he probably is. That said, I'm obviously going to be paying close attention over sort of the next few days, as if we get any leaked lineups or anything like that, and to see how Liverpool fans think that not Jota is he going to be like the. I think he'll definitely start game week 1, but going forward, whether he gets those consistent minutes, that's sort of my
Yeah.
only real concern with him. I've had Gordon in a lot of drafts. If that is the case, then it's obviously a pretty easy switch out for Gordon at the same price. But I'm a big fan of Jota in FPL, and if you can get minutes and you get the minutes consistently, then I really like him as a pick. Most of my other picks I think are relatively secure on minutes, so I think it's okay to have one which you're not 100% sure and is a
Yeah.
little bit of a punt. But if he does come in, and I think he's got a good chance, he is one of those that can get absolute mega haul, and for 7.5, I think it's probably worth it.
Yeah, interestingly, looking at the predicted points, Jota's actually now at his highest that he's ever been. He started, when the game launched, he was nowhere near this list of midfielders. But yeah, comparing him to Gordon, he's only 1 point behind now in predicted points, and I think that shows, how good he's been in preseason. Obviously, the last game as well, that left foot volley is just phenomenal, and we know what he can do, as you said, when he's in the team, like last season. People were trying to get him in, as much as they possibly could. And yeah, it's one of those that if he is locked in, he's always like a key player for Liverpool, and as you say, his stats are phenomenal. But it's just whether you wanna risk it or not. Okay, so that is Jota in the team again. That is another player that we haven't seen at all in this series so far. But yeah, as he continues to perform in preseason, obviously, Fantasy Football Hub's AI is noticing that, and I guess that is why the predicted points are rising. Is that how it works, right? In terms of predicted points, what's that necessarily based on when it comes to preseason with Fantasy Football Hub?
Yes, there are obviously a huge amount of factors that go into it. I think that the biggest one with someone like Jota is that uh, we had a meeting today. In fact, 5 of us sit down, and there's sort of an algorithm which decides the minutes. But for pre-season, because of everything that's going on, we are able to somewhat override that algorithm. And the minutes is the main sort of question mark for Jota. So yeah, we've bumped his minutes up because we think he's likely to be, a starter, certainly for the opening few game weeks. We pretty much monitor that every day. So we're constantly in, discussions with people who are experts on Liverpool lineups and various things, especially sort of like the bigger players and the bigger teams that to try and get the Man Cities and Liverpools and those predicted minutes right is obviously very, very crucial for people's teams. So will Jota have that predicted minutes come the end of game week? I can't say, we'll obviously tweak it as we need to, but yeah, that's sort of the when you see a player go from sort of low predicted points to high predicted is usually because we've upped their expected minutes that we think they're going to get.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. Right, let's move on to the fourth midfielder.
This one is probably going to be not much of a surprise. It's Nkunku. Um, I really wanted to get Palmer in this draft. I just think Palmer, you look at last season and he outscored Haaland, he outscored Salah. He's got higher predicted point or higher points per game than both of them. He just makes things happen, and that's what you want for a fantasy pick. Obviously, an absolute fantasy hero, and it's weird looking around and not seeing him in loads more drafts. I think the reason for that, and the reason that he's not in my draft, is just that slight uncertainty for game week one, in terms of how many minutes he's going to get. I don't think he's got very many sort of preseason minutes. I think he might play 45 at the weekend. You would expect him to start, but there is a slight question mark there. Do you think also that he got that level of points last season because of how many penalties he got?
Yeah.
Which I think slightly skewing the data. Can Chelsea get that many penalties again? Maybe, but I think it's probably unlikely. So Nkunku, he seems to be popular with the manager. I think that he's, going to be playing up top. And again, you're looking at a hell of a saving in terms of price over Palmer. And I can't really see squeezing both of them in. So yeah, at the moment I've got Nkunku, but I have had a few drafts with Palmer. I think he's a great shout as well.
It's funny, players like Palmer and Watkins, who we're not really seeing in sort of FPL circles or, YouTube FPL or Twitter, Reddit, that sort of stuff. But among the sort of wider game, the whole player base, there's still very high ownership. Palmer at like 44% is crazy. I actually got pulled up on it in one of the recent videos. I said that hardly anyone has Palmer before realizing that he's got 44% ownership. It's a slight difference.
I didn't realize he was that.
I know it's
to be honest.
But in terms of the sort of the FPL circles, his ownership can't be more than 10%. Maybe even 5%, but maybe such was his points last year that he is still very popular. But potentially we're missing a trick with not going for players like him. You're the first person that said actually that you really want to get him in, but there's no space for him.
It's difficult, with the sort of structure that I have to sort of make it work. It's probably him or Saka. I just think Saka's got the slight edge at the moment. The other one that I really want to get in there is Fernandes, and he's been in a lot of my drafts, to be honest. But yeah, for this one, I couldn't squeeze him in.
Okay, let's finish off the midfield.
Just gone for Winks, 4.5. Sure. Probably going to be last on my bench, but yeah, I think he'll get minutes.
Okay, so 3 up top though. I like that. Not seeing that from every single draft. Perhaps people are moving a little bit more towards it, but that also means that there's no 8 attackers as well. So it's going to be the same 7 most weeks, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I have had Rodgers from Villa 5.0. I think that he's he's going to get a lot of minutes. He's going to be playing quite high up for Villa. I think he's a great option. But yeah, trying to squeeze the 0.5s out. And I think that the defense, with Pinnock and Barco, I'd actually be very happy to play with those if I sort of have sort of an injury crisis. So are they as good as Rodgers? No, but I think they're probably good enough. And yeah, just trying to get as much money and potential point scoring options into the starting 11.
Sure. Okay, let's move up top. A lot of money still to be spent. 29.5 million.
Yeah, so I think Haaland's obviously in there, as is Isak. I think those two are pretty much no-brainers, to be honest. Haaland's obviously not a no-brainer. At that price point, you've got to consider it. But I haven't had a draft without Haaland, to be honest. I think that he's pretty much a lock for me, just in terms of, he is one of those players that can be sort of game breakers and just score absolute mega hauls. I'm sort of 90% sure he'll be in my game week 1 team. It's not sort of a complete lock, but yeah, I think that Salah's if you're not going to go Haaland, you're going to go Salah, and I'm not convinced Salah is the sort of the level of captaincy shout that Haaland is. I think that he's going to be playing potentially a bit wider than
Yeah.
he usually is. And I'm not convinced Liverpool are going to score as many goals as they did last season. So for those reasons, I think Haaland is the best captaincy shout early doors. Obviously Salah's a good pick, but just, between the two of them, I think Haaland edges it slightly.
Yeah, I've been having this conversation in depth with a few of my Liverpool fan friends just about Salah's positioning and how that doesn't necessarily impact his point scoring. They said that he can be high and wide and still score well, but we saw in the I don't know, it's only a preseason game, but in the last game he wasn't involved in any of the goals, and he was extremely wide. And I didn't watch the game in full, but yeah, he just for him not to be involved in four goals, playing the full game is a little bit concerning, even though it's preseason. But I do think it kind of supports your point that he isn't as secure a captaincy pick as Haaland, and perhaps not as Salah used to be in the past. So yeah, if you're not going to be captaining someone with complete faith at that price, I don't know. I'm not sure that he can be in a team. He's not going to be there for me. What I will say is that we've kind of gone from a movement of Haaland's too expensive to Haaland's got to be in your team. So now some people are thinking, does he again? 15 million, which I like. It's kind of like an up and down. People aren't really too sure, but I'm like you. He's been in every single one of my drafts. I just think you've got to have him. He can turn it on at any moment. And yeah, Isak, of course, speaks for himself. We'll get into captaincy for Game Week 1, actually, when we finish the team, because I'm interested to see what you're thinking there. But yeah, let's round things off. Who's your final forward?
It's actually Muniz. Again, a player that's been sort of in and out. The other picks I like is João Pedro. I also really like Slanky as a Spurs fan. It kind of grates me not to have a Spurs player in here.
Oh,
But yeah, Muniz, great opening fixtures, seems to be spearheading, that attack. I think that he's, a great option for that sort of price point. Is he sort of, the Solanke level of player? No, he's not. And I would really like to get Solanke in this draft, but at the moment for the current setup I've got here, I've gone for Muniz.
okay. So that is the team, and I've just optimized it. I've just saved it, and I've got your team rating in front of me. My goodness me, it is not half bad. It's 97% team rating,
Is it?
which is
Wow,
phenomenal.
okay.
It's the highest that we've seen from anyone that we've had on this series so far this preseason. It chucks you right up to first in the leaderboard, which is on screen right now, above everyone else that we've had.
I feel like I've kind of set that up and just used AI to get the highest rating. I've got to admit, I put that in, my team, and I might have changed some future transfers, which is why the rating's slightly different, but it wasn't that high. So I'm pleased to see it 97%.
Wow, I mean, that's amazing. Yeah, this as you say, I've not messed around with the future game weeks and optimized it for those game weeks, which it normally would make the team rating even higher. But yeah, 66.5 predicted points, 97% team rating. That is the highest we've seen so far. You've got to be happy with that. One final question I will ask, which I talked about a little bit earlier, is captaincy for Game Week 1. Just where are you thinking right now? Because we are getting towards that stage where we can genuinely, sort of start to have real thoughts about captaincy.
Yeah, it's not an easy one, is it? I
Nice,
think I'm
tough.
going Isak. I think
Yeah,
I'm going Isak. Just can see the ceiling being highest with him, which is, I think that you're splitting hairs between him and Haaland and maybe Saka. But yeah, I think the ceiling's probably highest with Isak. I'll go for him.
yeah. There we go. That is the team, and yeah, moving through it. You see, Haaland comes in, captain Game Week 2, just super strong. I don't know how you can go without him for Game Week 2, but 97% is pretty good. So guys, if you want to try and beat Will's score, there's not really much room to play with, but you can do so for free. Link in the description. Just upload your team, post a screenshot. It takes literally 5 seconds. I'll show you on screen right now. It's the most simple thing ever. And yeah, you don't have to go through position by position, player by player like we've done. That was for the sake of the video, so we can talk about individual players. But if you want to see how your draft's doing, or maybe you have two drafts and you want to compare them, it takes 2 seconds to just upload a screenshot onto the site. You can do so for free. And then later on, if you do want to take advantage of everything else you've seen in this video and the thing that we're about to do right now, personalized AI recommended transfers, then sign up to the site. Okay, that's what we're going to end on. 3% wiggle room to try and improve things. It's going to be tough, but let's have a look at what the AI is saying in terms of your recommended transfers. Okay, Will, so here they are on screen, your AI recommended transfers. Before the season starts, you'll get 3 for your team, and here they are. They are Pinnock going to Gabriel. Obviously an upgrade, but that needs to be funded.
Big upgrade, yeah. It's difficult to argue with that one. Gabriel is an FPL beast, isn't he? Scoring in pre-season as well. Nailed on. Probably the best defense in the league. Hard to argue with that.
I mean, it was the one thing you said you were kind of nervous about with your defense was a lack of Arsenal. That was the only real thing that was missing. So that's immediately been fixed, I suppose. But to fund that, Jota has gone to Salah, and Haaland has gone to Havertz. It's the main thing here. You're losing Haaland, but you are then gaining Salah from Jota.
Yeah, it's Havertz is an interesting one. I think he's a good pick, actually. I think that he's gonna get a lot of minutes. I think that he's gonna start up top. If Jesus comes on, I would expect Havertz to stay in the team, just shift slightly further back. I think he's a really, really nice pick, and I can understand why the AI likes him. Jota to Salah, obviously that's a big upgrade. I'm a big fan of Jota, but his minutes are not guaranteed, like we talked about. So it's understandable that the AI just thinks, go with Mr. Consistent, Mr. Reliable, Mr. FPL beast for the past, however many seasons going. So yeah, all of those transfers make sense. And a little story for you is that going into the last game week last season, I think it was around 14k, and I can't remember exactly what the AI transfer recommended, but I would have finished top 10k if I'd gone with it. But I just thought I would do my own thing and pick my own players, and I think I finished like 15k or something, and just sort of went sideways. So often the AI is pretty smart when it comes to these things, and it does know a thing or two. It crunches huge amounts of data and spits out some really interesting moves, which often are sort of counterintuitive, or you don't aren't sort of the FPL template moves, but are really, really interesting. They just make you think. And look, I'm not the type of manager that's going to follow it blindly. I like to use my own noggin and input stuff, but often that's to my detriment. And the AI, it really adds a different flavor and adds something which often people think it makes the template stronger, but I completely disagree. I think it comes out with picks which you don't think of and are counter to the template and are often low ownership picks, which I think makes the game a lot more interesting.
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly. We're seeing way more Haalands than Salahs in drafts, and we're not seeing Havertz much at all. I think that completely just exactly what you just said. And I also think that what's really good is the fact that it's you that has created this, and you are not the sort of manager that blindly follows sort of data AI and just goes with algorithms. Like you have said multiple times in this video, not just with what happened at the end of last season, but you go with your gut and you don't really listen to the noise, perhaps. Obviously, you need to take data into account, but you're not for 1 second saying, despite the fact that this is your website, to blindly follow this every week, unless you're on the train and you've got 5 minutes and you just want to just get a quick transfer in that is going to be good, and I'm all for that. But if you're more engaged, you're not saying just go with the recommendations 100%. But yeah, it's food for thought, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly it. And I to be fair, I don't think vast majority of our members use it for giving ideas and finding differentials, and rather than following it blindly every week. People do use it for that, and they will do very, very well, and probably win their mini leagues. But if the more engaged manager that likes to spend ages sort of tinkering, I'm one of those, and I like to think I can occasionally get one up on the AI. Usually I'm wrong, but that's part of the fun of the game.
Okay, there we go. Those are your AI recommended transfers. And guys, if you would like your own, then please do sign up to Fantasy Football Hub. It's the best time to do so the whole season this week. This is where you get the most bang for your buck. 50% off And also, of course, if you do not win your mini league, you would get refunded. Pretty crazy stuff. Link to do so is down in the description. Will, thank you very much. That is going to do it for this one. You shoot up to the top of the leaderboard. I'm not sure if anyone's going to beat you come game week 1. There isn't much time. You might win this series. That's all I can say. Fair play.
It's a fix.
Thanks,
Jack. Absolute pleasure.
Guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one to see if anybody can beat Will.